Millions of Brits now think the BBC is biased, exposed by a new exclusive bombshell poll. Delighted to say on my channel today, I've got my co-host of The Snap, a YouTube show, which I'll put the link down below. Make sure you go and subscribe to The Snap here on YouTube. But Patrick, a real bombshell poll here.
Yeah, you've got some exclusive access to the results here. I think it shows 42% of the entire audience thinks the BBC is politically biased. And that breaks down nearly twice as many people think it's biased towards the left than biased towards the right. Fully 27%, more than a quarter of the entire audience thinks the BBC has a left-wing bias. If I'm recalling rightly, only 29% of people positively say the BBC is not politically biased. And then there's a group of don't knows. And then there are 15% of our Corbynista friends who think the BBC in general is biased towards the right.
I mean, it exposes once again, Patrick. I mean, I've talked about it consistently on my channel. The research out there from YouGov now shows a majority of Brits think the BBC should either be funded through advertising or subscriptions. It's why my channel, it's why The Snap, people are turning to that. As I said, I'll put the link down to The Snap, guys, so do go and subscribe and follow that here on YouTube. But what I think is interesting here, first of all, fewer than a third of Brits in this Redfield and Wilton poll now think that the BBC's news coverage is politically neutral, only 29%. And of course, I guess the defence, the BBC, is they could say, well, we get knocked from the left and the right, which means we're somewhere in the middle. Actually, what this shows is that nearly double the amount of Brits think the BBC is biased towards the left than think the BBC is biased towards the right. And I would also make the point that when you look at things like defund the BBC, you don't tend to see many prominent left-wing campaigners or MPs calling for the abolition of the licence fee. And I just think it's a damning indictment yet again, from this exclusive Redfield and Wilton poll, that fewer than a third of Brits now regard the BBC's news coverage as being politically neutral.
Yeah, I think the BBC are falling down on two fronts. You know, first of all, if they were going to deploy that argument, we get attacked from the left saying we're right-wing biased and the right saying we're left-wing biased. You would expect to see those percentages roughly equal. You would expect, I don't know, 25% saying bias to the left, 25% bias to the right, and then the BBC could maybe advance that argument. But clearly, many more people think they are biased to the left. And as you've just pointed out, the intensity of that feeling is much more serious. And perhaps those who are saying BBC's biased to the right, it's just something they think they need to say because they think they're in a tug of war about every issue all of the time. But then the second point, which I don't particularly see how the BBC gets over, is the polarization of the viewing public. You know, to you and me, it's astonishing that anyone should watch the BBC's output, particularly on news and current affairs, probably equally on comedy, so-called, and think that anyone could come away considering the BBC was biased right of centre. So given that, and given that polarization that we've seen, it makes more sense to have TV channels and news channels in particular that have a natural gravitational position either right of centre and left of centre. And after all, we've got the likes of Channel 4 News, which is clearly left of centre TV, Guardian TV. You know, why not have something that's centre right, like, and we would identify the new entrant GB News as potentially filling that vacancy. But all of it does, of course, put even more pressure on and doubt about the licence fee, the compulsory licence fee, as a way of raising money for the BBC.
And I think the fact that there are so many alternatives right here on YouTube, for instance, with my channel and our show, The Snap, whether you look, of course, at the newly launched GB News, I think it all underlines once again why the licence fee really does need to be put out to pasture. When it comes to GB News, you know, there was excitement with the launch. There's obviously been a few bumps in the road, a few teething issues. The introduction of Nigel Farage as having a regular prime time show on the channel. I think it's given it a bit of a boost. What have you made of it all?
Well, I was excited at the start, despite all the technical difficulties. Since then, I've become a little bit irritated at the sameness of a lot of the programs, which are just chats about the 3 or 4 issues in the news and the 3 or 4 kind of running themes of GB News, and there's not enough differentiation. So I'd like to see them produce a program once or twice a week about crime and punishment in the UK, soft justice, re-offenders being let out. I don't think any channels doing that. We could have a twice weekly program about border control or lack of it, about our relations with the EU and Europe more generally from a Eurosceptic perspective. If they had those badged programs, I think that would draw a lot more people in than just to hear the umpteenth 4-person chat about whatever the issue was in the news. But I think the arrival of Nigel Farage in a prime time slot is terrific news for the channel, because he is a dynamic broadcaster with a huge social media following, and we've seen that the cross-channel boats story, which he did so much to push last summer as a sort of independent video maker, that he's already having an effect on pushing that up the political agenda by covering it on his GB News show.
Yeah, there's no doubt that the media landscape in the UK, in terms of video, in terms of TV, is changing. Make sure, as I said, guys, that you do follow myself and Patrick's show, The Snap. I'll put a link down below. And of course, let me know what you think of these poll results. Do they surprise you or not? Are you in favour of the BBC licence fee? And check out, me and Patrick back on The Snap soon. Check that out.
Take care, folks.